Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Holtcast from 7500 to Holt, the SB Nation blog of Aston Villa, the FA Cup finalists. Hey, Robert, how's it going?
It's going wonderfully. I feel like we're practically going to be in that dressing room at Wembley.
Yeah, almost.
It's pretty much like we're going to be there now that Aston Villa have made it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel just the same way about it. Just thrilled to be there. I mean, and it was really the best performance we've seen all season, which is great. It was
yeah.
deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. They looked incredible, and they played the pants off of Liverpool. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and even at the end when Liverpool really cranked it up, they'd just been missing so much all day that kind of when Lovren ran up and tried to smash that ball that was rolling just went over and kind of summed up Liverpool's day, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Villa played some really nice defense. Their midfield was absolutely smothering, and the attack actually did what it was supposed to. And there's no way you can say that was a lucky win. Villa deserved every single bit of that win.
No, and I was watching Fox had a replay of it on a couple of days ago, yeah, Tuesday, I guess. And so I watched that, and Martin Tyler was like Aston Villa was the better team for 75 minutes, and I think that was 100% true, and at least. And really, though, in the attack, Benteke, Grealish, and Delph, kind of that whole left side was combining so well, and obviously for the second goal.
Yeah, play like that, and this is the team that qualifies for the Europa League without the FA Cup next year, because that was legitimately some of the best play we've seen all season, and that's exactly how this team should be playing.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite parts of it was that Gerrard started for Liverpool, which I fully expected, and he was completely useless, which is great. And in Alex's preview, it said this will be Gerrard's last game at Wembley.
Yeah, Alex was pretty confident about that, and he was absolutely right. When he started, I was a little bit worried about narrative Gerrard coming in. The thing that made me comfortable is when he came out in the second half in that holding midfield role, because he's terrible there. And when he came out, I actually felt confident in that second half.
Yeah, I don't know how he ever got into that position because he's never been a holding mid. He's a great center mid and a really good attacking mid, but I don't know, holding mid, whatever. But I was kind of scared at the end when they had that free kick chance, but it went off Villar's head straight to Given, and Given really didn't have a lot to do.
No, he didn't. And what he did well. He collected corners nicely. I'd like to say he stopped those free kicks nicely, but those free kicks were essentially passes to him every time.
I guess one thing he did well was distribution, which is always going to be better than Guzan.
Yeah, absolutely. He was able to kickstart attacks with his nice distribution. It's hard for me to be too over the top about Given, though, because you really didn't get a chance to see much. He did exactly what you would expect him to do.
Yeah, on Who Scored, his match rating was 6.2, which, I mean, he didn't do a lot. It was hard to fault him for the Coutinho goal because it took a bad bounce off of Correa, but...
And because his defenders were idiots before that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he just needs to be a little more vocal and tell him just clear it, don't play it out from the back. I mean, it's hard, though, when you're playing possession games so well not to try to play out from the back.
Yeah, no, that's true. And you know, Akora has come on minutes before and was getting settled into the match. That goal was terrible, though. It was. They pointed out, I was listening to Aston Villa review this week, and Steve and Chris pointed out that it was a goal that Aston Villa could have easily prevented, which seems to be the only kind of goal they're giving up anymore.
Yeah, it was like a goal they gave up against QPR almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I was yelling at the screen, you know, from the moment it got in there, clear it. And the fact that they didn't, it's like you saw it coming a mile away.
Yeah.
That you know, it was going to be a goal. And there was the worry that would turn the match on its head.
Under Paul Lambert, it would have.
Exactly. Paul Lambert's Villa would have crumbled. You know, they had dominated up until that goal. They had done really well. And, you know, one goal would have been enough to wipe out all that good work. But under Tim Sherwood's Villa, good heavens, they didn't give up.
Yeah, and it stormed back, really got that goal to get it level at the break, which I think was really important because what do you say in the team talk? All right, well, we're destroying them out there, but we're still losing. That's really tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And having it level at the break with all the momentum going Villa's way.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the atmosphere in those two locker rooms had to have been entirely different because both teams were level. And Liverpool, Brendan Rodgers had to go in and say, you're playing like shit, and yet somehow you're level. Whereas Tim Sherwood could go in and say, you're level, but you should probably be ahead.
Yeah, but you're playing horribly. You're level against a team that you should be beating,
Yeah, absolutely. Liverpool have the talent to beat Villa. They haven't looked like it lately, but they're a team who should beat Villa most of the time.
Oh yeah, probably 5 times out of 10 you'd think they'd win in 90 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe Villa win 2 or 3 and then 2 draws. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Going forward, maybe not. Maybe Villa should be expecting to win against teams like Liverpool after beating Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. This is 2 huge wins against teams we weren't expected to beat in London in 2 weeks. The way this club is playing is getting to the point where I feel safe in calling it that's how this club will play.
It's starting to look a lot more like that, a better style to watch even, and obviously better results.
Yeah, it's not a fluke at all. And I think 2 consecutive wins over Spurs and Liverpool might be a fluke. I'm not sure if we should be winning 2 matches like that, but I think this is a team that, shouldn't have any danger with relegation. They should be able to get 1 more win, and that's all it's going to take.
Yeah, I think so, especially, we were looking at the table just before, and Newcastle just a couple points above us, really. They could be dragged back into it. And I don't know, the relegation picture is really, a little more starting to clear up a little more, but still pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It stinks that, we had the weekend off. The gap closed from 6 points to 4 points between us and the drop. But there's still enough teams between us and the drop that it's not quite as worrisome as it was.
No, definitely not. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Saturday, we saw that Reading took Arsenal to extra time, and that would have just been amazing if somehow we got to play Reading in the cup final. But it wasn't meant to be.
I was cheering so hard for Reading, yeah. But I think Arsenal look like a team that, at least in the cup, could be beatable. My worry is right now they're sort of saving it up for that run at the league. By the time they hit the cup final, there's nothing to save for. They can put out the team that has been cruising through the league right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I don't know. We saw in the final last year, Hull struck with 2 early goals, and they just couldn't hold on.
Yeah, absolutely. Villa could do this. Arsenal are probably, even since the 5th round or so, Arsenal have looked like the hardest team to beat in this competition. They look like the odds-on favorites to win it. So the fact that Aston Villa have to play them sort of stinks, but you're always going to have to win a few tough matches to get the cup.
Yeah, and if you don't deserve the cup. Yeah,
it's true. Unfortunately, simply making it here does not qualify us for the Europa League, thanks to changes. If this had been last year, we would now be qualified for the Europa League.
They just changed the rule this year, but I don't know. I don't really think you deserve to go to the Europa League if you just get to the final.
No, I agree 100%. I think the changes make sense. It just sort of sucks that, it came the year that we make the final.
Yeah, exactly. And the year that it looks like we could actually have a decent team next year and maybe actually, I don't know, make it out of the group stage of Europa League.
Nope, sorry. We're going to play Rapid Vienna.
Feynman's going to get spit at by fans of his former team.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be terrible. But what was your highlight from Saturday? Or, excuse me, from Sunday?
I think it's got to be the second goal. It was just the back heel from Benteke to Delph, to Grealish, who passed it perfectly to Delph, who just cut around Skirtle and slotted it home.
Yeah, the fact that Liverpool gave Grealish that much space, I can't tell if that's bad or not, because how are you supposed to expect that Benteke is going to take an 8-yard back heel to a guy sprinting up behind him. I mean, it seems like you should safely be able to give Grealish that space that he had in front of him. And Benteke made them pay for that.
And really, both goals started because of Benteke going wide and creating that space out there and pulling defenders out of place. But Benteke's first goal, that was a great strike too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and so calmly taken.
He almost had another just like that too later on.
Yeah, it's this this volley that isn't that typical sort of wildly impressive volley. It was a perfectly taken right-footed shot that went exactly where it needed to. And there wasn't a huge window of space for him to shoot that in either.
No, and it wasn't like what Cleverly tried to do late on.
Yeah.
I mean, I was disappointed that he lashed out at that, not trying to just keep possession, keep the ball. But really, I don't know. If he's going to take that once in a while, okay. I was more annoyed when Richardson had a chance to make it 3-1.
Yeah, skied it.
Heskey would have been embarrassed by that.
Yeah, no kidding. It was terrible. But yeah, the Benteke back heel to Grealish was actually my highlight. Not even the goal that came from it, just the perfect awareness that Benteke had. And you see Grealish was sort of yelling for it and whatnot. But the fact that Benteke knew he could essentially just put his foot on the ball and stop it. I mean, because it didn't roll that far after he back heeled.
No.
And just so essentially stop the ball's momentum and keep sprinting and drag the defender with him, and Grealish would have it. It showed the kind of awareness that has made Benteke come alive in the past 2 months.
Yeah, and you see him, he always tries those fancy flicks, but when he's in form, when he's in the mood, they just always seem to come off. And even some of his passes, you'll see him switch the play from left to right, just curling a ball across the field. And I don't know, it's great to watch because you think of him as a goal scorer, but he also can set a lot of things up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He was one of the announcers on Sunday was talking about the fact that he looks like your stereotypical power striker, someone who's just going to hammer home the ball. And the fact that looks can be deceiving because he's nothing like that at all. He can take a powerful shot every now and again, but he's a much more finesse-oriented striker than you would expect.
Yeah, but he can go up and physically dominate someone in the air with a power header as well. You know, he's really just a complete forward, but more of a number 10 really than you think than a classic number 9, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. There's hope in my mind that maybe next season is the season we see him actually put it all together for a full season, rather like he has done for the past 3 years.
Yeah, you saw a couple years ago when we were in the relegation contention, obviously, but in the spring when he lit it up and would have got to 20 goals if he wasn't suspended at the end. And this year, 9 in his past 7 games, getting to double figures. And 10. Now he has 10 in the league, 2 in the cup. But yeah, like you're saying, if he could put it together for the full 38 games, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. One player I'm kind of interested about from Sunday was Kieran Richardson. On Twitter, I was giving him a lot of crap because I thought he was doing really poorly. Going back and rewatching that match, I stand by a lot of what I said, especially on the offensive phase of the game. He was miserable. And he's not a great defender, but he did his job in a position that he's not particularly well suited for. Do you think we are maybe too hard on Richardson on Sunday?
Yeah, because he made the goal on clearance. If that was massive.
If he did nothing else for the day, that should save him.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't making the bad passes that led to the first goal. I mean, he wasn't great. He didn't misplace a whole lot of passes on the left. He could have been a little better, but yeah, I don't think he's an ideal left back, better a left wing back or left midfield. But yeah, I think we're a bit too harsh on him, but his performances the past few games have been pretty bad.
Yeah, they've been bad, but they've been sufficient. I mean, look at it. The past 2 games with him as left back, we've conceded 1 goal. That's not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he's not dragging the defense down to a low level that's making them ship 3 or 4 a game.
And to be fair, neither Spurs nor Liverpool properly exploited him. If I'm the opposing manager and I see him out there at left back, I'm putting all my attacks up that side.
Yeah, maybe they should have started Balotelli and put Sterling on the right.
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah, they could
Markovic
have
as a
done.
wingback, he just wasn't getting forward enough, wasn't really doing enough.
How weird was it to see Brendan Rodgers tactically totally outclassed by Tim Sherwood?
It was a little weird, I think, because you just think of Rodgers as playing the possession style, and Villa looked like they had all the ball, at least in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, it looked like a mirror image of the QPR match. You know, when Ramsey made that change and Tim Sherwood had no idea how to operate, Sherwood put out a good lineup, a good system, and Brendan Rodgers spent the entire 90 minutes going, what do I do with this?
Yeah, which I don't
It
know.
was,
That was great to see.
yeah, absolutely. And it sort of points to one of Tim Sherwood's things. If he gets it right from the first whistle, it's good. If he doesn't get it right from the first whistle, he's not very good at adjusting mid-match.
And maybe because we were level at the break, Liverpool thought they could go out and try to do the same thing, and that it would work.
Yeah,
I mean, at the
absolutely.
end, I guess it really showed that they were a higher quality team when they were able to turn up the pressure. You know, that's kind of what Arsenal does a lot of the time. They'll be level and just need to get a goal, and they'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
But Liverpool controlling it then, but just, I don't know, wasn't able to get it done. Villa doing just enough.
Yeah. Do you feel badly for Balotelli?
Yeah, I kind of do, but I don't know. If he was in any other league, I would like him to be successful, but maybe not for Liverpool.
Yeah, I really like Balotelli. I feel badly that he's at Liverpool and that he's getting so much crap.
People think he's like a madman because he just does crazy stuff, like sets off fireworks in the bathroom and like drives around with a bunch of cash and gets pulled over, and the cop says, "Why do you have all this cash?" Because I'm rich. But like, I don't know. He's gone to like university library and like paid off everyone's overdue fines and gone to schools to stop bullying and stuff. He's actually a pretty nice guy, I think.
Yeah, he seems like an incredibly nice guy who gets a lot of crap, gets a lot of racist crap thrown at him.
Yeah, I understand why he left Italy because that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I really like the guy. I really wish he were doing better and that people didn't hate him. But like you said, it doesn't make me sad to see him not doing well for Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him playing in France or somewhere. You know, a good country that doesn't have racism problems like France.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt badly on that disallowed goal because he was so clearly onside.
Yeah, but it was funny because he was so badly offside for the rest of the day, and it just ruined his reputation, I think. And I mean, like, it's like Darren Bent. If you think he's possibly offside, you're going to put the flag up every time.
Yeah, it's true. The announcer on that offside, the color commentator, yeah, just, you know, the second the flag goes up, he's like, oh, there's Balotelli just being lazy, getting back on side again. And then they show the replay, and the guy's like,
Oh, 3 yards on.
Like, dude, fuck you. Like,
yeah, that was bad.
This is why I feel badly for Balotelli, because even the announcers are just like, oh, he's a lazy piece of shit. It's like, no, he isn't. He was 3 yards onside there, and you just assumed he was being lazy. It's like, A, that proves you're terrible at your job. And B, you know, it shows that
Balotelli at least wait for the replay.
Yeah, no kidding. Just like, so obviously this guy didn't see it. He's just like, well, Balotelli was offside, probably being lazy. Like, F you, dude. I just and luckily I haven't heard too much whining from Liverpool fans about that goal, because it was really clear that Okora and Given all saw the flag.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even though Balotelli did stick it in the back of the net, I think that Villa's players had stopped playing, and even if he gets a shot away, maybe it's saved. I don't know. That it was going to be a great chance.
I'm not sure he gets the shot away though, because Okora was in a position to get between him and the goal pretty easily.
Yeah.
But he just gave up. So as badly as I felt at the time watching the replay, I realized that they probably weren't going to get that goal anyway.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the fact that if he had scored, Balotelli would have only scored 5 goals this season, and they would have all come in 5 different competitions.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
What a great stat that would be.
I do feel bad for him that the Liverpool fans, or someone made a bot or something to vote for him for Liverpool Player of the Year, control him, but Liverpool removed him from the voting and then put him back up.
Oh,
So
wow.
just to disqualify those votes, I guess. I don't know why they couldn't figure out a different way to make sure they didn't get botted, I guess. But
Yeah, that's a little bit weird. The other player from the game that I want to talk about is Jack Grealish. His best game in a Villa uniform, right?
I think so. And then his dad got to
Uh,
wear his shirt the whole next day.
what a treat. Although I bet that shirt stunk.
Probably he was working hard there. He didn't deserve to get subbed off, and I don't think Inzaghi did either. But that's just because Sinclair and Cole were poor. But
Yeah, absolutely. I was surprised to see Grealish come off. But, Timmy was obviously happy with him, giving him the big old kiss.
I just tweeted at the time that Sherwood just subbed off the player farthest away from the bench.
It's true, and it sort of did look like that. And boy, Grealish took his time getting over there.
Yeah, and I think the commentators are saying, you got to hurry up. You can still get booked.
Yeah, and they pointed out he started jogging, and it was actually probably slower than his walk had been. But you can't book him when he's jogging. I mean, he looked like he's... But just an absolutely incredible game, roving everywhere around the field. Him in... despite the fact that we weren't playing that diamond, he was still playing the same role as he's been playing with the tip of that diamond there.
Yeah, the free roll. And I think we saw it early. He made a run that won a corner, just bursting through the defense. And I think a lot of teams still don't really know too much about him, which has got to be on his side. But I think a lot of people, everyone's heard of him now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure if the kid knows what he's doing because he's just running at world-class defenders like, sure, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he just doesn't care.
Yeah, it's incredible, the fearlessness he shows out there, and the willingness to just start and make a run on his own is amazing. The one thing I've seen leveled at him in terms of criticism is he seems a bit unwilling to shoot. Do you think that's a worthy criticism of him?
I think from seeing some of his highlights from the youth levels, I think he's more like a Barcelona player, is that he'd rather pass it into the goal from 6 yards away than rip it from 20. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think he could shoot a little more. We obviously don't know how good his shot is because we haven't seen it a lot. But yeah, I think he could work on that a bit because there were some chances to pull the trigger when that he passed up.
Though, to be fair, the biggest chance I think he had to pull the trigger was before he assisted Delph on that other goal.
Yeah, exactly.
I was yelling at the screen there, too, shoot it. And when he didn't, I was like, what the hell? And then, before I could even get that sentence out, Delph had scored.
I think he would have had a better chance, like I was saying right before, cleverly ripped that one from 25 yards when the pass from Benteke went across the area. If he would have found Grealish, I think he would have shot there. But
yeah. Can you imagine Grealish opening his account at the semifinal at Wembley against Liverpool?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he'll have a chance in the final. I'm sure he'll score in the league by then.
Yeah, one would think so, but there's a little part of me that just doesn't want him to and wants him to, score the opening goal against Arsenal at Wembley and just watch Villa fans collectively explode.
Yeah, or score 3.
God, I mean, I want so badly for him to score in a big moment or at Villa Park. Because I want the fans I want to hear that reaction.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be incredible when he finally does it in front of Villa fans.
Yeah, like you said, the stadium's going to explode. And it's really too bad that the allocation for Villa fans at the FA Cup final is only 22,500. And same for Arsenal fans. Strange. So the actual fans only get really half the tickets in the stadium.
Yeah, well, it's just like the Super Bowl or something like that. When you can make money from giving it away to, non-affiliated people, why would you give it away?
You have sponsors as well that from the corporations that get a lot of tickets, but I mean, it is unfortunate.
Yeah, that said, Villa fans can probably end up with tickets, other ways. They just won't get to be in the Villa section, or I don't know. I remember you mentioning that if we made the final, you would contemplate going out there. Is that still a possibility?
Yeah, it was, I think, but I think I have an internship for the summer, so I won't be able to. I know Alex was still thinking about it, but
yeah, I was trying to figure out if there was any possible way for me to do it, and there is none.
Yeah, if I wasn't going to be in California, I would gladly empty my bank account to get a flight and get a ticket.
I want nothing more than to go to Wembley for the final and drink with the folks of Aston Villa Review and Sam Ty and everyone else after the match.
Yeah, especially if we win.
Yeah. If you haven't had a chance, not just you, Jack, but anyone listening, if you haven't had a chance, go listen to this week's Aston Villa Review, because hearing Steve and Chris talk about their experience from inside Wembley and then after Wembley and talk about the way it affected the fans and everything, the two of them on the podcast talk about the fact that it made them really emotional to be there. And Steve said it might have gotten a little misty in there. And the way they talk about it is good enough that it made me a bit emotional just listening to it. One of the very best things I've heard or read from that semifinal win. So make sure you go check that out.
Yeah, I know Steve was tweeting, dusting off the webcam actually got some goals.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was it was worth it. So go listen to that podcast. You will not regret your 45 or 50 minutes spent listening to them. So it was a great win. Villa get to move on. We get a little bit of Jack Grealish controversy after the win.
Yeah, it was part of our Twitter questions, which we'll get to in a bit. But yeah, hippie crack. What do you make of it, Robert? Hippie crack, Jack Grealish.
So if you're not familiar, someone mentioned this yesterday, and I hadn't seen it. Apparently, it had totally bypassed me. But apparently, The Sun, was it The Sun?
Yeah, I saw it in the middle of the day, but I didn't retweet it or anything just because it was The Sun. I was like,
Yeah, the Sun published a picture of Jack Grealish huffing on something out of a balloon, and it turns out that it was hippie crack, otherwise known as nitrous oxide. And there's been a lot of uproar because, oh my God, he's using something to get high, and should he be suspended? Should he not be suspended? Tim Sherwood came out today and said he talked to Jack, and he'll be available for Saturday.
It turns out the picture's from a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. And there's, pictures of Raheem Sterling doing this too. And
yeah, and Berahino, and he's in the hippie crack Hall of Shame. But I don't know, Sterling and Berahino are pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good company to keep there. That's what I could think. And ESPN FC's article on this, which is where I finally found the picture. I was just quickly Googling. Says, quote, nitrous oxide, known commonly as laughing gas, is not illegal, but it's described by UK government-backed anti-drug service Frank as carrying, quote, a risk of death as a lack of oxygen can occur. Risk is likely to be greater if the gas is consumed in an enclosed space or if a substantial amount is rapidly used, end all quotes. So yeah, it's legal, but you could die from it. Guess what else that applies to?
Playing
literally
football.
Anything else. Yeah, playing football, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes. Do we have a problem if players drink, if they smoke, if they play football?
We saw all the beers in the post-match pictures,
And one of the who was that? The Star, maybe? Someone tried to make a big deal of that too. Like, holy shit, they're drinking beer in the locker room. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, oh no, Budweiser, that's the sponsor of the FA Cup.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry for the language, but it just this BS moral policing of, we have to be able to tell them what they do. If what Jack Grealish did was legal and not restricted by his contract, it's none of our damn business if he does it or not.
Yeah, especially if he did it a year ago. Who knows? He's probably still not even doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's something that Tim Sherwood doesn't want to see the team doing, talk to him. The kid is smart. He wants to play football. He wants to play football at a high level. If you say, listen, dude, I don't want you doing this, and if you keep it up, you're not going to play football, I bet he makes the right decision.
Yeah. I mean...
It enrages me, this moral policing of stuff that is legal. Is it dumb? Maybe. Probably. But it's none of our damn business. Let him do what he wants. He plays great football. He plays, the way we want him to play. What he does off the pitch is none of our business.
If he dies, he dies.
Well, yeah, and that would be... that would be terrible, and that's the risk you take, but he's an adult. He can take that risk. He has that ability. He could die by crossing the street or driving or drinking or doing anything. That risk is always present. I don't know. It pissed me off, the controversy around it.
Yeah, and we did have a Twitter question from Mark Bannister at 1874 FC. Would you take any action against Grealish? I mean, I think you can tell by our response, no. Tim Sherwood, no, and especially when I learned that it was a year ago, no.
Yeah. Well, now that I've said all of that, absolutely suspend him. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, suspend him. We don't want to see him till August. What? I mean, I mean, even if you want to set the standard, Villa's still in the relegation race, and I don't know. It's hard to say that a player is bigger than the team, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, it isn't. And if it is a big deal, you say, hey, Jack, knock that shit off. And okay, he does,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's behind the scenes stuff that we don't know, but I kind of doubt it, given that we've never heard anything about this before.
Yeah, and granted, since it's a year old and now it's only come out, they're obviously holding on to the picture until after Grealish had a great game,
Yeah, absolutely. It's your typical tabloid bullcrap.
Yeah, it's the Sun.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, Grealish shouldn't be suspended. He shouldn't be punished. It's his own damn time, and if Tim Sherwood doesn't want him doing it, talk to him, and guess what? Grealish seems to love Sherwood. I bet he's going to listen if Tim Sherwood tells him something.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's what we have on that, really.
End rant.
Yeah, end rant. Yeah, I think, we have another one. How do you replace Benteke if he moves on for what he has done for our club? To consider as well, and who, from Aiden at Grazmad. I don't know. I think if Benteke goes, you got to spend at least 10 million on a striker and get someone useful. I don't know. Maybe Balotelli's value goes down that much, and you can get him. I mean, I don't think so, but
does that make Aston Villa the Liverpool reclamation project? Like, we take in Ali Sissoko, we take in Balotelli. Who else can we take in that are failed Liverpool stars? Maybe Steven Gerrard needs a place to go.
No, I think he'll be perfectly happy going to LA.
Yeah, I think so too. How do you replace Benteke if he moves on? Yeah, you've got to pick up someone new. But keep in mind, Liber Kozak will be coming back. Liber Kozak should be able to replace Benteke. Well, not replace him, but to supplement what we would be missing from Benteke. And if Benteke doesn't move on, Liber Kozak is a nice augmentation for what we get out of Benteke.
Yeah, and if we do end up in the Europa League, perfect, because that's where Liber Kozak scores all his goals. And when you're playing Thursday and Sunday, you need to rotate the squad a lot. So I think we're going to need another striker anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think the plan, like you said, is the same over the summer. You get a new striker and you bring in someone new, especially if there's Europa League play on the line for that.
Yeah, okay. Next question from Claire Villains at Villains Claire. Are you worried about new owners possibly being from China? Asian owners don't have a great track record. And yeah, I guess you look at Cardiff City and QPR, and no, they don't have the best track record. But I don't know. It's hard to just say that we don't want an Asian owner because of that. I mean, I think if they're putting in the money, if they're able to get a bigger sponsorship deal because of connections, like you look at Manchester City and what they have with Etihad Airways and or PSG and such, if that can bring in more money, I think it's good.
Yeah, and I also want to point out that I've seen a lot of backlash because this rumor broke this week from James Nursey that there's a Chinese conglomerate looking at a takeover of Aston Villa. And a lot of people have been upset because it's Chinese. And this question, Asian owners don't have a great track record. The weird thing is, these are all individuals or groups. They have no impact on one another. The fact that previous Asian owners have not done well tells us literally nothing about future Asian owners.
Yeah, it's not like this conglomerate took over Blackpool and sunk them.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a group we've seen before, at least to the best of our knowledge. They're a group that are looking to acquire a Premier League team, so it seems that they've never done this before. There's no connection there. If you want to make broad-based connections, guess who has sunk financially more English teams than anyone else? English owners, because they've had the majority of clubs. Yeah, it's basing it on the fact that there have been a few poor Asian owners is stupid. It is borderline xenophobic, and it's irritating to me. you judge the new ownership based on what we know about the new ownership, not what we know based on, other Asian owners. If we were to get a Middle Eastern ownership team, we could not say that, hey, we're going to be the new Man City because look at what one Middle Eastern team has done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy. And I've seen a lot of people, we don't want Chinese owners because get the hell out of here. I'm like, yeah.
Why not? Look at how the market in China is just exploding for football. There's so many potential fans there. That's a lot of potential revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that Aston Villa are, for some reason, one of the most popular Premier League clubs in China is probably a good sign.
Yeah, that's probably what it's out of.
I mean, I kind of get the reactions because we don't know anything and everyone wants to react somehow, but we don't know anything. This could be a group who are terrible, or this could be a group who are good, but judging this group before we know anything based solely on the fact that other Asian owners have not had success is not acceptable. That's not a good way to judge this.
Yeah, you're just saying you don't want another American owner because of Randy Lerner, or, look at Liverpool's ownership group,
Look at the success rate of owners who came from Cleveland. That's essentially what that's saying. And it's and I get the question, and I see that, and I'm not trying to attack Claire Villains here. It's just that this kind of question has been swirling around this rumor since it came out 2 days ago, and it's sort of irritating because we don't have enough information to make any judgment. So let's stop trying to make judgments based on what little information we have that has no applicability to this argument.
Yeah, and I mean you can kind of understand just because of the way that Cardiff tanked and changed kind of the identity of the club, switching from the Bluebirds to the Red Dragons. But I mean, yeah, I agree with everything that you said.
Yeah, it boggles my mind. I made sure not to read the Facebook comments when we posted about that Chinese rumor. It's just not gonna do it.
All right, and from Aston Villa Review, would you rather have hands instead of feet or feet instead of hands?
What do you think?
Well, I don't know. If you're a goalkeeper, maybe having 4 hands could be quite useful, but also you wouldn't be very good at kicking, so I don't know.
I'd make the argument that in the vast majority of things, having 4 hands would be better than having 4 feet.
Yeah,
because feet don't have opposable thumbs. We're pretty used without opposable thumbs.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it, like kind of kicking my feet up and then being able to type on 2 keyboards at once. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I don't have 2 brains, so I don't know if I'd be able to churn out twice as many things. But
I feel like you could train yourself.
Yeah, probably.
So I'm gonna go with 4 hands instead of 4 feet.
Yeah, I'll go with four hands as well. I mean, I think maybe a couple more handballs, but.
Aston Villa Review asking the tough questions that need to be answered.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad they're around to keep us in line here.
Yeah, kind of the watchdogs out there. Yeah, so I think that's it for Twitter questions. We're going to move on to rooting interests for the week, Robert. So, I mean, who do we want to lose that's also involved in the relegation picture?
So we obviously want Hull City to lose. They're playing Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace did us no favors last week.
No kidding. But, that's okay because Crystal Palace were playing a team that were barely in the relegation race anyway. So
that's true, but we do always like to see – oh, no. Yeah.
We always like seeing West Brom lose, but alas. Stoke are hosting Sunderland, so those are 2 home teams you want to win. Stoke over Sunderland, Crystal Palace over Hull City. Newcastle, a team I didn't think we would be talking about, they've nosedived enough that they're on the fringes of this conversation now, and they're hosting Swansea. If they win or if they get a point, I think we just sort of ignore them for the rest of the season. But if they lose, I think Newcastle are suddenly in this relegation fight with a vengeance.
Yeah, they're just 3 points ahead of Villa and just one better in the goal difference department. So
yeah, I'd like to think that West Brom have probably saved themselves, but maybe a loss to Liverpool drags them down.
I think there's just too many teams below West Brom.
Yeah, exactly. I think the hope there, though, is that Liverpool win so that Villa can catch up to West Brom.
Yeah.
Keep things close there. QPR are hosting West Ham, and you obviously want West Ham to win. The really, truly interesting relegation match this weekend, though, is Burnley hosting Leicester. How do you want that one to go, Jack?
I think we're going to need a draw there just because, Leicester have won 3 in a row. Burnley, they've only scored 1 in their last 7. But with a win there, they could dig themselves off the bottom, and they could possibly hop 3 teams and be out of it.
Yeah, they absolutely could. And Leicester could get well out of it too. Leicester could almost catch us with a win.
Yeah, they could get a point behind us if we end up losing.
Yeah, I think the draw is absolutely what we want there. But if the draw doesn't happen, who do you want to win here? I'm not sure there's a right answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe Leicester, just because I think Burnley, their remaining fixtures, they still have Hull. I don't know. They still have a lot of winnable games. I think they still have West Ham, and I don't know. I think if Burnley end up losing, they could be sunk. But I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm kind of intrigued by this. Like, Burnley have more winnable games, so it strikes me as reasonable that Burnley could save themselves regardless of what happens here. Whereas Leicester have the tougher run-in, so if they lose here, it's harder for them to save themselves. So I kind of think I want Burnley to win if we have to have a winner out of this.
Just so they take the points away from Leicester. And
yeah, I sort of see Burnley as being able to save themselves regardless of what happens here. And I think Leicester really only save themselves if they keep their momentum going and get the win here.
Yeah, because I was looking at it yesterday, and I thought, including this game against Leicester, Burnley have 4 games where it wouldn't be way out of the question that they could win. I think they've really 4 winnable games, and that could get them to 38.
Yeah. Absolutely, which would definitely save them.
Yeah, no question.
Leicester don't have a tough schedule either. Really on this one, I don't think any outcome is amazing except for a draw, a goalless draw.
Yeah, a draw that would kill the momentum for Leicester, and Burnley that'd make it 1 goal in 8 games for them, and they'd probably just give up, honestly.
Yeah, I'd say a goalless draw because that means Leicester get nothing out of it, or better yet, a draw where Leicester, charge out ahead 3-0 and Burnley catch them.
Yeah, just blow it.
Yeah, to really take the wind out of their sails.
Yeah.
You wrote your relegation poaching this week on Burnley, since we're speaking of them.
Yeah, I did.
Who would you take?
I think, really, honestly, Danny Ings is their best player. Obviously, everyone knows that, but unfortunately, a lot of big teams are going to be going in for him, and even though his contract's going to run out, he's only 23, so Burnley is still going to get a little bit of cash for him, but I don't know, he's by far their best player. But also Kieran Trippier, they're right back. He's played 33 games for them and came out of Man City's academy. He's actually provided 4 assists this season, so decent return from a right back, and he's 24, so even though, I don't know, Alan Hutton's getting up there, but with still Leandro Bacuna and Matt Loughton, not really sure if we'd need another right back, but if we did, he wouldn't be a bad option. And then Michael Keane, a center back that they just bought from Manchester United. He was on loan there the first half of the season, but he's played 19 times for the Clarets. And at 22, I think he's still got a lot to develop. And with the injury problems Villa have had at center back this year, I don't think adding another one would hurt.
Next season, Tim Sherwood is definitely starting with 10 center backs, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's all he's going to buy over the summer. Just like, I'm pretty sure half of these guys are going to get killed, so let's just buy everyone.
Yeah. It's like, it's not personal if you're 7th on the depth chart to start the season. By January, you'll be playing every week.
Don't worry, you'll be starting for England come January.
Yeah, seriously. But, it really sucks that Baker and Clark are done.
Yeah, absolutely. Clark, we were confirmed today by Sherwood, is done. We heard that Baker was out for the season on Sunday, but today when tweeting about it, the team were talking as if it was not a done deal that Baker's out for the season.
And I guess it's good that they took the precautions and removed him from the match.
Yeah,
but yeah, I guess we don't have to worry about Clark picking up the 10th booking.
How ironic was that? That you know,
Yeah.
after all that time, and he didn't get that 10th yellow card. He did really well, and then he gets
Yo,
flipping
think
injured.
about it. If he would have got that yellow, he wouldn't have played in that game that he got injured in.
Yeah, that's true. God,
You can't think like that though.
and I feel so gutted for the guy because he played really well. He was looking good, and of course he gets injured again.
But Ron Vlaar is back, and he's been looking great as well.
Yeah, he has been. I mean, let's see. Nathan Baker's last few matches against Liverpool, subbed off 25th minute. Against Tottenham, subbed on 17th minute because of Kieran Clark. He got subbed on against Manchester United. He was subbed off against West Ham in November. The poor guy gets injured so damn much. And he looks so good. I mean, just the way he's playing is fantastic. I feel so badly for him.
Yeah, hopefully he just does a Delph and can reaches the age where he just gets over the injury problems and can just be a stud week in and week out.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, it's not time to give up on Nathan Baker because it's his birthday today. It's his birthday, and he's turning 24.
Yeah, so
given the fact that defenders usually do a little better at, in that 26, 27 range, he's still got plenty of time left.
Oh, exactly. And just looking at him and Kieran Clark and Yura Sakura, like, we have a great core of young defenders. So
can you imagine if all three of them are healthy, the ability Villa will have to play a 3 at the back?
Yeah, because if you could stick Richardson and Bakuna actually on the wings.
Yeah, push him up a little bit.
Yeah.
God, the idea of a 3 at the back with Baker, Clark, and Okora rather, is just incredible to me. I would love to see that.
Yeah, and then we definitely would need to sign at least another center back for cover, even if Ron Vlaar ends up staying.
There's no chance that they get injured.
No, just full immunity. But we saw this week that Ron Vlaar maybe will end up staying. His contract was up, and I don't know. Even I had called it a career, I guess, at Villa for him. I was saying whatever if he moves on, but I think he could really stay on and tutor those young guys.
Yeah, he was injured enough this year. At the beginning of the season, him moving on was inevitable, but he got injured enough this year that he really, hurt his value. And it's not surprising that he may want to stay on because Villa are building things. Tim Sherwood seems to have the players, with him. So maybe he wants to stick here and build his value for a contract next year or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And what if we sign him for two more years? Great. Then he can go to MLS.
Exactly. And I've seen a lot of people, complaining, we don't want him on because he's so injured. It's, depending on the contract, that's not a big deal. It's, keep him around as depth. Keep him around, like you said, as a mentor for this core of young players.
Yeah, and I don't know, look at Senderos. He's been injured the whole year too, and much rather have Vlaar injured, who could actually come in and be almost world class when he's playing at his best.
Yeah, like he was this weekend. When he looked fantastic.
Winning a foot race against Sterling.
Yeah, exactly. He looks really good, and I would like to have him around next year. And a mentor would be helpful, given that between Clark, Okora, and Baker, their average age between them is 23.
Yeah.
Like 23 and 8 months is their average age between them.
Exactly.
Which is just crazy. So it wouldn't hurt to have that sort of mentor around with Ron Vlaar.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess get to a little more injury news as we go to the Manchester City preview. That's going to be it's the late game on Saturday. So
Americans, you can watch on NBC.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I actually get to watch this game on my TV.
Yes, the man without cable, very happy, Robert.
Yes, so excited. I finally get to see them on the TV, as opposed to in a box like this big on my computer screen. So
6:30 local England, 12:30 Eastern.
5:30 England.
5:30 England, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. 5:30 England, 12:30 Eastern. 9:30 for you West Coast folks, so you should have plenty of time to get up. How was getting up early for a match, Jack?
Oh, it was great. I got up at 6:55, and I don't know. I was not disappointed at all. I'd get up at that time every week if Villa played like that.
Yeah, if they could play like that, we could. I'd get up at 6 every week. Sure.
I actually will have to the last couple weeks of the season in California, but
yeah,
that's okay.
So yeah, we've got some of that other injury news for that later game. Gabe Agbonlahor looks like he might be back. Ali Sissoko looks to be back. Philippe Senderos should be back.
At least on the bench.
Senderos, yeah, exactly. Senderos, I would be shocked if he started. But it's good to have him as cover, given that we only have 2 other center backs. Sissoko, on the other hand, might actually start, given what Richardson has given us at left back lately.
I don't know though. I think it's hard for Sherwood to change up the team after the way they played. To be fair,
after 2 really compelling victories.
Yeah.
I actually sort of against Manchester City want to see that same lineup. I want to see that 5-man midfield against City.
Yeah, and City they like to go with the 4-4-2 a lot, so I think playing 5 in midfield is the best way to deal with that. I mean, City, you saw that Pellegrini's really stubborn. Even against Barcelona, he's going to go out and play a 4-4-2. I mean, maybe he won't just because of injuries to striker. Bonnie could be out. Jovetic is out for sure, but he's really not in their plans anyways. But if he does stick with the 4-4-2 with Aguero and Dzeko up top, I think playing 5 in midfield is a good way to actually ensure that we'll have at least probably 45% of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I think you could see a lot there. But I sort of imagine it's going to be the 4-4-2, the diamond, especially if Gabby is healthy again. I think if Gabby isn't healthy, we do end up seeing pretty much the same lineup we saw at Wembley.
Yeah, and if Gabby's healthy, I think that's great to give a pace threat that really stretches the defense. I mean, you saw Benteke going wide from that central striker position, but he really has the freedom to go anywhere and needs to go everywhere when he's the lone striker.
Yeah, absolutely. There is, of course, with this match, the potential that Villa get blown out. Despite the fact that City are not in top form, they're still a much better club than Villa are. Do you think a blowout here stops the momentum?
Stops Villa's momentum? Yeah, I mean at least momentarily. I mean, I think Sherwood's got to just settle him after that and just try to get back to level ground. But even if it's 5-0 or something, I mean, hurts the goal difference. Hopefully the other results go our way though. But yeah, nuking's definitely not out of the question.
Yeah. So again, we don't do predictions here. But let's just go ahead and assume for the moment that Villa lose here. What's an acceptable loss here? What's a loss that doesn't really kill this team off?
I think as long as you score, it's okay. So even 3-1 or 4-1 is not, depending on how the goals come. If the whole team just falls apart, it could get ugly. But I don't know. You could see Yaya Torres score a great free kick, or like what he did on just a incredible run, 60-yard run and finish like last year.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes he's not human.
Yeah, exactly. In the driving rain, nevertheless. Remember how sloppy that match was?
Yeah.
I even think 2-0 would be okay here. Hold Manchester City to 2 goals, play a decent match, and you're fine here. I also think that this is a chance where we could get a point or 3. We could surprise.
A point would be huge just because, I don't know, I've said 33 is going to keep you safe for a while, and maybe it won't now. It's getting a little closer at the bottom. Those teams actually starting to win, but still hitting 33 would be big.
Yeah, absolutely. It would not blow my mind if Villa somehow won this. The way they've been playing lately and the way Manchester City have been playing lately, there's no way I would ever even put money on it, let alone predict it. But it wouldn't blow my mind if Villa came away with 3 points somehow.
Yeah, it'd become completely a whole lot less of a shock result than after the past couple weeks of beating Spurs and then Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially depending on how we play. If we are playing on the counter and City's dominating and we steal a goal, I mean, that would still be a surprise. But
exactly, like everyone says, it takes one slip. Villa get one goal and they can hold on. They get a draw or a win. I mean, there's a very real possibility that happens.
Yeah, and I don't know. We really look pretty confident defending at the end of the game against Liverpool, even though they were really turning the pressure on. And I guess if you were looking to bet, I think Villa's about 11-1.
Yeah, so there's good money to be had there. And last year against City at City, Paul Lambert parked the bus, and it worked for a half. And then when it finally collapsed, it was even more demoralizing.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why it's just stupid to park the bus in a match like this. I mean, our goal difference is -21. If we give up 6, we'll probably have the worst goal difference in the league, but we still won't be the lowest placed team in the league, so it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, and you're not going to see Tim Sherwood parking the bus either. You're going to see him coming out guns blazing.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited for this. It feels sort of like last weekend did to me before last weekend, like a no-pressure match. We're not expected to get anything from here. And if we don't, it's not going to kill us off. This is not a match that makes or breaks this season.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. And if we win, it's not like we're going to Europe or something, so
yeah,
kind of nothing to lose. Still a lot to gain, though, I guess. But yeah, like you said, Sherwood's not going to park the bus. Here's a fact: we've scored the same amount of goals under Sherwood that we did under Lambert. 12 goals in 8 games under Sherwood, and Lambert was in charge for 25.
Oof! Wow. My other favorite stat is, and it may have changed this weekend with Harry Kane scoring again, but actually, no, I think they're still level. I'm trying to think of who was second. It wasn't Kane. Since Tim Sherwood took over, Christian Benteke is the Premier League's leading scorer.
I think Aguero has 20.
Yeah, but I think not enough of those have come since Sherwood took over. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the second closest came from Arsenal. One of their lately on fire players. I can't remember which one. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it still holds. Benteke is the Premier League's leading scorer since Sherwood took over.
Yeah, 9 goals in that time. So
it's just incredible. It's so much fun. It's so much fun to watch a good Christian Benteke.
Yeah, it's worth watching alone if he's doing good.
Yeah, absolutely. So no prediction here, but nice to know that it's really a no pressure match.
Yeah, a lot more. We have a lot more to gain than to lose, so that's always good. Just really, yep. I think we're just watching the teams around us and hoping that they lose.
Yep, absolutely. Keep them all below us, and we're in good shape. After this, you've got some winnable matches coming up. So
yeah, Everton next week.
Yeah, Everton at Villa Park. That's a match that you can pull off. And then West Ham at Villa Park. You get 2 home matches in a row against teams that are really beatable.
Got to win one of them,
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. And then Southampton and Burnley.
Yeah, so season's coming to a close, but it's looking a lot better than it was even a month ago. So
yep, absolutely.
Remember, we're still on iTunes, Stitcher, Blog Talk Radio, YouTube, so you can subscribe there. And for Robert Lintott, I've been Jack Grimsey. Thanks for listening to the Wholecast.